Life is more about giving than receiving. Social works have been known by many names such as charity, charity foundation, non-profit, philanthropy, humanitarian services, doing good works, giving back, and several amazing names. Our goal at Ideation Hub Africa is to enhance overall well-being and help meet basic and complex needs of communities and people. Ideation Hub Africa was birthed in 2015. Our goal at Ideation Hub Africa is to enhance overall well-being and help meet basic and complex needs of communities and people.
Ideation Hub Africa started in January of 2015. In 2013, I was in a high-paying consulting job that I loved, and I still consider it to be such an empowering part of my career journey. And I remember that I would then go to volunteer in secondary schools, talking to young girls about personal development and, chastity and, becoming who they wanted to be. And that burden and that passion for young girls who were at the time and might be till now very marginalized, in disadvantaged situations, prone to sexual assaults and rape, experiencing even domestic violence from their parents, their brothers, their uncles, and who were dropping out of schools, and the education they were even getting was suboptimal. As I thought about all those things that stood in the way of the average young girl in a vulnerable community from entering into the kind of future that she deserved, even the very brilliant ones, I would find myself saying, why don't you really contribute more significantly to helping these girls? And that burden moved me on into 2013. And then I saw this announcement from Coca-Cola Foundation saying that we could get full scholarship into Pan-Atlantic University to get into what was called the Social Sector Management Program. And that was what I considered the beginning of destiny for me. I got into the Social Sector Management Program, and then something changed. I got in there so that I could actually set up a non-profit organization for girls' empowerment. But I got into a class of 40, and there were at least about almost 20 other visionaries, men and women, who were running girls' empowerment, non-profits. And I saw that they were running the organizations in a very suboptimal way. They didn't crack their recruitment, their training and development, their compensation plan, their performance management, motivation, all the things that really make an organization sustainable. So I started to ask myself, why be one more NGO if you could convert your consulting expertise to empower these NGOs succeed at their craft, collaborate better as against working in silos, and really build out this social sector space? Because at the time, in 2013, if you were an NGO, you were really considered to be broke and you didn't have a job. That's why you just went into that space. And that was how my whole vision changed, from wanting to start an NGO for girls to starting a consulting firm for the social space. So the vision for Ideation Hub is simple. It is to provide education, enterprise incubation, an ecosystem that empowers a change maker to achieve more in the shortest amount of time.
Essentially, I was in charge of getting businesses and planning and coordinating events, and essentially just helping to introduce more social entrepreneurs, NGOs, into the IHA circle, basically. I felt like working here sort of brought me into the place where I became extremely pruned from more or less like from inside out. I started to interact with businesses. I started to, become the person for the job. That's it, right? And I learned business writing. I learned to present my thoughts in words, in writing. I learned to pay attention a lot more to the person that I was, more for myself, and because of this level, the caliber of businesses and individuals that I had to interact with, based off of what the job required, I basically had to go through that evolution.
I remembered before I joined Ideation of Africa, back in Akure, I was running this an NGO. Of course, we're at the point of registration, but at the point I just had to stop, and because I had this understanding that I do not really know what the development space is all about, and I think it's going to be a great experience for me if I can learn from those that are already playing in the sector. Joining Ideation of Africa, one of the first things it did, or one of the first things that I learned, is that the sector is a huge sector. Like DDK always say, if we are going to fix Africa, if Africa is going to take its place in the League of Nations, one of the aspects or sector that we have been, looking down on is the third sector, which is the development sector. And coming in contact with Ideation of Africa, having to work under the leadership of Director Tony, as well as DDK, I come to understand that there is a lot of work.
Just having that 1 year with Ideation really just prepared me for, to think bigger in the social development work really that I do. And I think this year I'm doing things a lot better, just constantly improving myself on the learnings I got from Ideation Hub, my experience at Ideation Hub, and just, putting it. So I currently function right now in raising talents to achieve the SDGs, which, Africa Masterclass, if you think about it, was raising talents, to actualize the SDGs. I think my work at Ideation Hub has just helped me become a better person. So I'm constantly looking for the next big thing.
I joined Ideation of Africa as a volunteer. So that was really how I started my journey with Ideation of Africa. I came on board as a volunteer, helping to plan at that time the development dialogue. And after that experience, I then came on board fully as a project director. And ever since that journey, it's been from one level of experience, one level of growth, and a greater level of exposure. One thing about our programs within Ideation of Africa, our programs are very, 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 very innovative, and they stand out. So with every program, you're working with your cutting edge as against the norm. So you're not coming on board just for the sake of executing any program just like the norm, but coming on board to fully execute the project from an excellent and innovative standpoint.
We are often referred to as social saviors because we implement effective solutions to solve social problems for the good of the public.
Knowing what the definition of social savior means now, yes, I would say so, because I'm very passionate about social issues around the world, and one of which is really about children, ensuring that there's quality education available for children and that it's inclusive at the same time. So when I talk of inclusion, is that children with disabilities are being included and mainstreamed into education. And so for the work which I do, I would say yes, I'm a social savior, because these actions that we initiate on a day-to-day basis ensure that we bring solutions to the social space and make sure that not just those in the social space, but the community at large can feel the impact of the work that we do in terms of ensuring that children with disabilities have education, children with disabilities are included, ensuring equity for them where it's needed, and in a whole thinking partnerships, also working with different organizations to make sure that we make this happen. So yes, I would say that I'm a social savior.
And I think increasingly over the years, if I look at what are some of the things that drive me in terms of what I do, it has to be impact. And one of the things I told myself, I think it was at the beginning of last year, is that any work that I'm doing going forward has to be a work that creates impact. Impact for the livelihood of people, impact for the less vulnerable, and just impact in terms of just building the entire Nigerian economy, because I believe that Africa is rising and there's a lot of role to play as individuals. So I'll say yes, I'm a social savior.
We are a social profit accelerator providing early-stage social entrepreneurs and non-profit professionals with experiential education, enterprise incubation, growth advisory, and collaborative platforms to start, scale, and sustain the big ideas for changing Africa.
Interesting. I think the first time I heard about Ideation Hub was just trying to seek knowledge and trying to understand, like, is there somebody sharing something that I can learn about the social space? Because I came in from the private sector. I haven't worked there for about 13 years and then found myself in the not-for-profit space. And so I just wanted to get information. And so somebody pointed me in the direction of a hub where I could get information, then the development dialogue. And so somehow I became a part of the development dialogue. And about 3-4 years ago, yes, I had to speak at the development dialogue. And then not just at the development dialogue, also being a part of the masterclass series that Ideation Hub has been doing for people in the space. I would say for me, how it has helped me develop is in interacting with other like minds, doing the same thing like I'm doing, and also people that are aspiring to do the same thing. So it gives you that broad view. And I would say that's how it's impacted me, because now I have a network of people I can always reach out to should I need information. But more importantly, you know, when you just interact with other people, you realize that you're not alone in your own cocoon. So it's really helped me to be able to shape my mind and to get information. So I would say that's like the biggest thing that Ideation Hub has done for me. So it's not just in me giving out, but also being able to glean information because in the last masterclass series, I wasn't the only one that spoke, other people spoke. And so I was able to also listen to them and get to learn from them what they are doing in their own space and how they're making change happen. So yes, it's been an amazing journey for me. Learning first before I became a speaker, but more importantly, also interacting.
I see Ideation Hub as a hub for a lot of social impact issues, not just for people in non-profit space, but people in the social enterprise space. Because sometimes we always focus on the non-profit space. There's also the social enterprise space. And I see it as a hub of involving different people from different aspects of life, different stakeholders, bringing all of us together to be able to solve social impact issues that are rising, of course, especially in Africa, and helping people who are passionate about doing something like this, but don't have a clue on how to do it and don't have the training or the skills to be able to put them all together, link them with mentors, link them with information and experts to be able to make their non-profit stay longer. Because in Africa, we know that even in ordinary business, if you're 5 years old, you should celebrate that you're 5 years old, because it's a giant leap for any organization or entrepreneur. So yes, I see them as a hub to help people achieve their goals and dreams. Yeah.
Ideation Hub is a catalyst, right? Because Africa, we hear this always, but we understand that Africa is blessed with immense potentials and gifts, and now we are getting into the next revolution, industrial revolution. You could understand that everybody is talking about Africa, everybody is thinking about Africa, and there is no other association or organization just like Ideation Hub, which is being owned by an African and also preferring solutions for the problem of Africa. And you could also see that in their innovative programs where they train young people in terms of discovering their need, their potentials, in discovering their purpose, holding their hands, training them, and also linking them up, to mentors who will hold their hands and ensure that whatever innovation or whatever solutions that they are developing will become something sustainable.
The journey has been encouraging, inspiring, but at the same time, every day I see what could be that is not yet. First with us as an organization, but also even with the space that we're sent to. Sometimes I wonder if our work isn't just maybe a drop in an ocean because Africa is huge. Her problems and her challenges they are sophisticated. The type of social problems and crises on the continent are very windy. We call them wicked problems because they are problems that give birth to problems that give birth to problems. And when you think you're solving one, another is showing up. So sometimes I actually wonder if it's not just a drop in the ocean. But when we see the kind of results that we're generating, you also get encouraged that, okay, there's progress. Three significant types of successes have marked our work that keep me going. The first is really becoming an ecosystem. I'm excited about the fact that we're creating spaces and places for collaboration and for partnerships, especially for early stage practitioners. The thing with being an early stager in the nonprofit space is, to be honest, people don't listen to you early. Because so many people had gone ahead of practitioners in the social space and had really messed up opportunities for them. People get funding and there's no accountability. People say they're working on something, they're not really working on it. People inflate figures, impact figures, you know, and so those things have made donors and stakeholders in the private sector really wary of practitioners in the social space. And so if you're an early stager and you're in maybe the first 3 to 5 years of your work, you have to do double the work to really gain credibility. And those who've gone ahead of you are not easy to connect with and partner with. You don't just show up and be like, I'm starting out and I want to partner with you, right? So I'm excited about the ecosystem we're building and the collaborations we're creating. I think we're almost a 12,000 strong community, and that's not a bad thing for how far we've come in the space. So I'm excited about the ecosystem. I'm excited that we meet people who say they met at Ideation Hub and are now co-founders, or they are now working together, or they got a joint grant, executing a project together. That's really, exciting for us. The second thing would be how we've created learning communities. That excites me very much, maybe because I'm a bookie and I love to read. I love to see people thrive and grow their competence through education. And so I'm really proud of, for example, African Masterclass series is one of our breakthrough learning immersions, and that keeps me going. A third thing would be, to be honest, I didn't know this was a thing until people started giving us feedback. It feels like Ideation Hub has sort of elevated the brand of the social sector, at least in Nigeria, with something like our annual Thought Leadership Conference Development Dialogue, with Women in Development Summit. Beyond the ecosystem and education, people feel proud to say, I'm in the nonprofit space, or I run a civil society organization, or I'm a social impact business. And so that brand elevation is something we're really proud of as well.
We deliver value to our community through our learning platforms, such as our mentorship immersion, African Masterclass series, and transformational programs and conferences, such as Development Dialogue and Women in Development.
I would say that IHA, or Ideation of Africa, has done so well. There's a lot of conversation that is going on now within the not-for-profit space, and a lot of people are having dialogues. I'll say the first dialogue that I knew about in Nigeria is the Development Dialogue that is powered by Ideation Hub. Because what it's done is she's brought together, and she now for the organization, not the founder, has brought together, a lot of social innovators and helped us to come in together to one room to have conversations that we will normally not have. Nigeria has a lot of people doing stuff in the different places. And one of the things that I love about the SDGs is Goal 17, which talks about partnership for growth. And you can't operate alone trying to make it happen, because change, I look at change like an ocean, right? And it's like little drops. And once it's dropping from different angle, at some point it becomes a mighty ocean. So pretty much that's what Ideation Hub has done for us, to bring us together to be able to have important conversations that we would normally not have. But I still think that the conversation needs to continue so that we don't stop the conversation. So, pretty much when you are giving pass mark, you don't give 10 over 10. So it's not like you are that teacher that just dishes out the marks. But pretty much, I would say really great. It's I mean, when I look at from when the conversation started till now, I think it just keeps raising the bar, and that's absolutely amazing.
But what I love much about that interaction or that platform is the fact that it brought everybody together. So I work with government, for example. Government is a clear stakeholder when it comes to just turning tides around in Nigeria. But I know that government alone can't solve the problems that we have. Neither can private sector alone. There's a third sector. But just even beyond the third sector, it's like a collaborative effort. And I saw that at play. I saw social innovators at play, just sort of demonstrate some of the solutions. I saw people doing a lot of beautiful things. And I was like, wow, we need more of these platforms and more of this engagement going on, even at deeper level. So I can imagine such conferences or such programs happening, say a sector specific. Let's have a development dialogue for agric, for example. And we're honing into the agric sector and looking for creative solutions that will bring about change in Africa.
So the African Master Series class, where I was a guest mentor, I would say, again, phenomenal. And the reason why it's phenomenal is you don't even know the impact until you start interacting with different people that start telling you the things that they've learned. I see the impact on two levels. So it's not just for those that are participating, but even for you that you're speaking on the platform. What it gives you really is gives you a bigger platform, really. And people from different parts of Africa get to know about your work.
We have put together several events, both physically and virtually. Our programs have transformed the lives and minds of social innovators and change makers in Africa. We have reached a total of 85% from Nigeria and 31% from other African countries. 100% of participants who have been involved in our programs and mentorship immersion have achieved great impact in their organizations and career fulfillment.
I know that for a lot of guys in the development space, for them, the good news is money. But for me, the good news is not money, it's system, structures, and people, right? And I'm going to state that as a precursor to the money we got eventually, right? So it was after the masterclass we got some sort of funding, which I'm going to talk about, right? So I mentioned that after the masterclass, after AMS, one, I did an overhaul, right? If I told people to go, I restructured the entire thing. And one thing I remember doing, which took me a lot of time, was I did a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork. It was stressful, it was hard, because of course, I was telling myself that we're just 2 years. Why am I doing all of those things? And I'll tell you how it came to play eventually. So I started doing a lot of documentation. I told a friend of mine recently that at some point in 2020, I did HSC documentation for a building we don't have, right? So just show how detailed we were. Contract document for volunteers, for staff members that we didn't have yet. We only had one staff then. A lot of restructuring volunteer-wise. I had to step back from some things to allow other people and so that I can focus on something more strategic. Our social media too, we were now using it well, the way we should use it around storytelling. So we're not just posting because we wanted to post. We're not posting because, there's a calendar somewhere. So after we did that, I think it was around October 2020, someone had reached out to me in Abuja to say, there's a grant somewhere, XYZ, and the like. So they just sent the link to me. I said, beautiful. It wasn't even specific to say gender or anything. They just wanted you to, it was like an influencing grant of some sort. So I got the link, and there was an initiative I had created after Africa Masterclass called Project Sabi, which was around mobilizing men and boys as allies towards ending violence against women and girls. So I created the proposal for that project, right? And we had sent it through, and it was in 6 figures in euros. And as at then, the highest money that we've ever gotten in boys' quarters, maybe highest from our board chairman, maybe 500,000. So we're getting 10K here, 20K there, 30,000. At some point, we had a lump sum of maybe like 1 million, but I mean, we've never gotten anything lump sum. So I'd sent that proposal, right? And the idea of the partnership was that this organization wasn't doing a lot around gender. They were going to position themselves as a lead partner. We have the idea. I had created training curriculum since long ago. I mean, the end-to-end idea was ours. I don't want to say it's mine. It was ours, right? So we are positioning to them, and by January, I just got a call to say, "Oh, guys, your grant proposal had gone through the first level." To be very honest, in my head, I felt like, okay, the first grant we'd ever get officially would be like maybe say $2,000, $10,000 at the most, right? So it was way close to 200,000 euros, right? So we had to do some interviews, we had conversation and all of that, right? And by May, we had gotten the confirmation from the donor that our proposal had been approved, right? By ending of June, right? We got the contract already signed, and for us it was a big leap because the grant covers administrative fee, covers quite a lot, and we had to implement those projects in Lagos, Enugu, and Abuja, right? Of course, money is not the main thing, but what money does is to amplify your voice. What money does is to give you the energy to do more, right? The encouragement to do more. And aside this, because it's a 2-year grant, we needed to hire at least 70 members, right? So all of the contracts are done then after the Africa Masterclass started coming to play. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So at the point when the donors were asking questions, "Oh, do you have this? Yes. Do you have that? Yes. Do you have this? Yes. How did you come up with this? Yes. Can you share this?" It was at the speed of light, right? So yeah, and that's where we are now. And the entire idea of the project is to mobilize men. So we are focusing on the informal sector and the formal sector. So we're engaging union leaders. We're currently having a partnership with the national president of NGRTW. We still met with him some weeks back, and even the chairman in Lagos, MC Oluomo, right? So we're going to be running full-blown trainings for union leaders, for car parks workers, for drivers, for ticketers, right? Aside that, we're also going to be creating a boys club, Boys Against Gender-Based Violence, in 30 schools across Lagos, Abuja, and Enugu. And we're also going to be creating a platform called Sabi Social Construct Platform, where men can go, you answer like 10, 15 questions and to show your misogynistic level. And once you get your percentage, you'll be led to a training platform where you can learn about misogyny, about male dominance, about sexism, about what you need to know about gender equality and inequality. So for us, the money just came based on the preparation we already had. It came at the point when we were preparing ourselves for opportunity. Because, I mean, at the point when we had done Africa Masterclass 1 and 2, I was already preparing my mind for something big. I didn't know I was going to come. I mean, and just to state it out clearly that this proposal that got us the grant was like maybe the 50-something proposal I had written. I'd gotten used to getting rejection emails. So the two come, "Oh, we are sorry we cannot fund boys related. Oh, we are sorry, we like your idea." But so this just came, and it came at a point where we even forgot all the past rejection emails, right? So the engagement with IHA sort of gave us the opportunities to prepare for all the opportunity we're anticipating, right? And of course, I still go back, I still piggyback to the conversation here and there. When I'm meeting with my team, I still tell them, "Oh, you remember what Lamide Johnson said in Africa Masterclass about storytelling? Don't just post anything, be deliberate. Know what you want to post, know why you're posting it, ensure you're telling a story, ensure there's a trajectory," right? So IHA has sort of helped us understand what we are doing well.
The curriculums are well grounded in a deep understanding of the African continent, the African woman/man, and the African problem. And those curriculums, because they are that targeted, it makes it easy for the average African who wants to cause change to understand, internalize, implement, and get results. The different one, I've interacted with African Masterclass series, Development Dialogue series, and even the different other things that are done as activities in the Ideation Hub Africa. the level of work is deep-seated. I almost want to say, across the continent, I don't think I've seen any organization that does that deep-rooted work, especially with social saviors.
Apart from providing continuous learning, we have awarded grant support to our community through the Talent of the Future Award. We have impacted 10,000 beneficiaries and have reached 20,000 change makers in Africa.
So in 2018, I came in contact with Ideation Hub Africa, and I was invited with my team to Lagos, Nigeria, to be a part of the program. We're sponsored by Ideation Hub Africa to participate in the program at no cost. And this program marked a turning point for my foundation because the knowledge we got from that program really changed a lot of things about how we operated as an organization. And not just coming for the program, but also winning. You know, the keenly contested Future Talent of the Future Award also was a big booster for me on this journey. And the organization also gave us a stipend grant of 100,000 Naira, which we used in registering our organization in 2018 as well. And ever since then, the Fame Foundation has gone on to do so many great exploits. Because I remember when we came in 2018, we had impacted about 10,000 beneficiaries. And looking back now, from that point till now, we've been able to reach 19,000 beneficiaries. So there's no way I can talk about our journey, at Fame Foundation and not see the role Ideation Hub Africa played in it.
Development Dialogue is Africa's leading annual thought leadership conference designed for NGO leaders, development practitioners, non-profit professionals, social innovators, impact-driven entrepreneurs, and change makers across Nigeria and Africa to engage and learn from diverse experts in a one-day memorable conference that will transform their minds and provide clarity on the way forward to achieve the Africa of our dreams.
If I look at what Ideation Hub is doing, even from the policy development angle, from the accelerator programs, it's everything all together that creates that solution for our economy. So I see them as a think tank team, that government will leverage on to actually create economic policies that will change the narrative in the Nigerian context, or even in the African context, in the global context. I see them as platforms where a lot of social entrepreneurs will come together to solve African-wide issues that touches on issues that are happening in East Africa, West Africa. Almost, if you look at a Rockefeller, for example, the Rockefeller Foundation, their impact is felt worldwide, and that's where I believe Ideation Hub will start to influence, world programs.
Africa is rising and requires innovators, thought leaders, and visionaries who would work with big ideas and leverage collaboration to bet our future.
Without equivocation, every social innovator who is serious about change making in Africa, every social reformer, everyone with a heart for the people, everyone with a heart for Africa. What are those things you say? I have a burden for Nigeria. Everyone, in that category should be plugged into the ecosystem that Ideation Hub provides. And why? Because when the executive director was starting out in 2014, the major problem she wanted to solve was that there was just scatterings, like a scatter diagram. NGOs, each doing their own thing, attending to low-hanging fruits in the space. And there was no structure, no organization, no thrust, no vision, the competence level. There was passion, but there was no commensurate level of competence. And that is what I believe that Ideation Hub at this core is still solving.
Moving forward, we foresee a future where Africa will continue to thrive and be the giant of transformation.
Ideation Hub Africa is in quite a defining phase, And we've sort of said to ourselves internally that we are into our next level evolution. As an organization, we know that we've had big wins. We know that we've impacted the landscape very significantly, but we're not resting on our oars because we know there's so much more. If we truly believe that we are critical to shaping Africa's outcomes this decade and elevating our prosperity, then it becomes important for us not to step back or get used to where we've been. So many things are changing as far as Ideation Hub Africa's work is concerned. We are still at our core a social profit accelerator, and we're still so passionate to empower early stage social practitioners. But a few things are going to become defining for where we're headed next, and I will just share three. The first is we are now going to be edging stronger to the intersection of social impact and policy making, because we recognize that the government is still a very defining factor if we're going to be able to accelerate the continent's development and her prosperity. If we're going to see the kind of transformation that we're expecting across all sectors and industries within the continent, we need the government at a different level. Here is what I have found, because I now sit on a few committees advising the government. There is a greater degree of willingness on the part of the government than we give them credit for. Sometimes African governments, and I dare say the Nigerian government, has questions about what will work and is just not very certain. If the government is clearer and they had partners, advisors and consultants in the private sector that could really offer counsel about what will work, they're willing to explore it. So we are preparing ourselves to really edge further into policy making and provide the intersection for the government and the players in the social sector. So NGOs, we're happy to work closer with NGOs, consortium that have civil society, social impact businesses, and begin to present roadmaps and policy documents to the government for what can really work. The second thing you can expect to see from us in the course of this decade is we are going to go live with what you can call the Harvard Business School of Social Innovation in Africa. In the course of this decade, we're going to have a physical institute where students can actually walk in and get certified as program managers, get certified as fund managers, get certified, as visionaries who really can create a change in the landscape of community development, and across the impact areas. So we are really going to go bigger with our Social Innovation School, and we will share a bit more about that and what we're doing already as far as that is concerned. But for sure, it's a big part of our emerging future. We would love to see 1 million change makers transformed through our live and in-person as well as virtual programs over the course of the decade. That is what is going to be a big number for us by the end of this decade. So by 2030, it will be a joy to have really trained, empowered 1 million change makers with executive education that helps them get results with their work. A third big thing that is going to define where we're headed next is a lot more what we will call intra-African partnerships. We see ourselves really holding the hands of built ecosystems in other parts of the continent. We've worked maybe a lot more in Nigeria and a bit across the West African arena, the region, but we really want to step across the entire continent and see how we can maybe collapse ecosystems into a bigger ecosystem so that Africans can connect more with themselves, collaborate more with themselves. There are models of social innovation that we have cracked in Nigeria that we can give Nairobi. There are models that they've cracked in South Sudan that can come to Accra, Ghana. And I hope that we will be a key part of triggering those kind of outcomes in the years to come.
We indeed appreciate your support and thank you for taking this walk with us as we jointly put Africa on the global map.